All right, we are right here in time for a review of single variable linear inequalities. So I'm going to work through this with you, but I encourage you to do what you can on your own and only look at the video if you realize that you got the answer wrong or if you get stuck on your way to the answer, so that you're figuring out, do I actually know how to do this myself, is the idea here. Because there's, I think, a quiz after this, which I need to make and put on Teams. Anyway, number 1, x plus 9 is greater than 6. Easy peasy, one-step problem, because all we need to do is subtract 9 from both sides and get x is greater than -3. Remember, as long as the x is on the left side, we can think of this like it's an arrow pointing us which direction we need to shade. And because it's not equal to, we put an unfilled in circle or an open circle. And then we go this way right here. To the right, to the right. And then we just keep going and do more, just like what we've been doing. So -3x is greater than or equal to 12 is divide by -3. And because we're dividing by a negative number, we have to flip the inequality, and 12 divided by -3 is -4. So x is less than or equal to -4 means a filled in circle, and also we should shade to the left. And just a public service announcement here. Part of your answer is the inequality that you get where x is by itself. The other part is the graph, so you need to make sure that you do both things. So if you're looking at it and you're like, oh, I can just solve this in my head and then graph it without writing anything down, that's not what we were supposed to do. You're supposed to solve the inequality, which implies telling me what the answer to the inequality is, and then graph it. Okay, sorry. Okay, so v is on the right side on 3. So either we could actually go ahead and add it to the left, which has some good things about it because it makes it positive and also brings it to the left. Or we can just work on solving it and flip the inequality as needed. So I'm going to leave it on the right side because I think that might be more likely the way that you would pick to do it if you were doing it by yourself. So add the 8 over and get 15 is greater than -3v. But do notice that something annoying happens here depending on kind of how you do it. When I divide by -3, I have to flip the inequality. So -5 is now less than v. Remember that in order for us to say which direction is shading based on this and thinking of it like it's an arrow, v would need to be on the left side, not the right side. So we either need to completely flip this expression around so it's v is greater than -5, or if we are able to think about it like this and say, okay, it's saying -5 is smaller than v, so that means that I need to shade numbers bigger than -5. If you're able to think through that consistently and do that, then that's fine. You don't have to flip it around. But yeah, so if I had just added 3v over, it would have technically felt like it added a step that was unneeded. But actually we would have done no flipping instead of flipping twice. Interestingly enough. 7m plus 4 is less than or equal to 53. So I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides and get 7m is less than or equal to 49. Then divide and get, that's why did I write 3? I know it's 7. I have no idea why a 3 came out of my pen. So 7 gets a filled in circle and shading to the left. Okay, 5 and 6. Okay, now we have a variable on both sides. Oh no, I forgot to switch one of the letters. So let's pretend like this says y instead of x, because we're not supposed to have more than one variable until the next lesson. So you can either switch the one on the right to y or the one on the left to x, and then go about your merry business and get the, in my case, y's together on the left, or you can get them together on the right, whichever you prefer, and get negative 9y plus 3 is greater than negative 6. Why didn't I do the second step at the same time? Subtract 3, so we have negative 9y is greater than negative 9. So we divide, which means we flip the inequality around because it's dividing by a negative 9. And negative 9 divided by negative 9 is 1. So y is less than 1. It's an open circle. And go this way. Voila. 6 has parentheses, so we're going to distributive property first. And then let's see, we've got like terms. And then we're going to get the x's on one side and the numbers on the other. It's kind of my hope that since you've now done the compound inequalities, that most of these actually seem easier because at least you're only doing one. I don't know, though. I get 3x is greater than or equal to negative 28 plus 13. We'd subtract those and get a negative answer. So that'd be negative 15. Divide both sides by 3 and get x is greater than or equal to negative 5. So I'm going to put a filled in circle on negative 5. And then we're going to shade to the right. Now, how many more do we have? Just 4 more. Cool. All right. These are compound inequalities, though, so twice the fun. And we'll start with 7. Remember that if you need to either rewrite these with more space in between so that you don't accidentally try to combine them, or if you want to build a wall in between to separate them, whichever one you want to do is fine with me. So on this first one, we need to divide by 2 and get x is less than or equal to negative 7. And on the second one, we're going to subtract the 5 over, oh, interesting, and get x is greater than 0. Now, if you do mark out the or, either write it somewhere else or just keep it in your head that it should be an or. So the negative 7, the inequality says less than or equal to, so it gets a filled in circle. We're going to go to the left. I keep forgetting to go, oh yeah, this is also a way we can shade if you don't like shading on the number line. Because if you're using pencil, it can be really hard to see. Yeah. X is greater than 0 would be an open circle to the right, like a so. That's the answer to 7. Number 8 also looks pretty straightforward. Subtract 1, subtract 1. It is an and, so do you remember which way we shade and? Exactly. We shade and inside or between. Now this needs to flip because we're dividing by negative 2. So we're saying it's greater than negative 5, but not equal to. It's less than or equal to 1. So our answer is that k can be anything between negative 5 and 1, not including negative 5. These last two are two-step equation or inequalities, but there's like compound inequality. So that's more than 2 steps, really. Remember, we're going to solve the middle of this, the 5x plus 6, by subtracting 6 on the left, right, and middle. And then negative 9 minus 6 is negative 15. And then we'll divide everything by 5. Negative 6 is less than x is less than, yes, sorry, I thought for a second that I divided by a negative and needed to flip them, but I did not divide by a negative. I divided by a positive 5. So this is saying that x is in between negative 6 and negative 3, and it's not equal to on either, so these will be open circles and then shade between. And if you're doing the up and over, wow, I talked about in class that these look like cars, but that looks even more like a car without any extra effort on my part. 10. This is an or, and so we're basically just going to try to keep them completely separate from each other. 21 minus 15 is 16, and then divide by 4. X is less than 4, so open circle. And to the left, for the next part, we add 4 to both sides and get 35, then divide by 5 and get x is greater than 7. So open circle on 7, and then we're shading outside. Or is outside and is inside. Thank you for watching.